Recognize the member for Courtney Comox.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It is my privilege to speak today to Bill 5, the Insurance Corporation Amendment Act 2021. It is a bill to create the position of a fairness officer to be appointed by the Lieutenant Governor, not ICBC, and to set out their powers and duties in relation to fairness complaints. This fairness officer would be independent of ICBC, not someone who works for ICBC. It's someone who's an objective third party who ICBC customers can turn to review the fairness of the process that led to the decision in their case. It's important to note that the fairness officer is remunerated out of the ICBC budget. That's important. And that the terms and conditions of the position are subject to the minister's approval. Also, the fairness officer's budgeting process is prescribed by regulation. That fairness officer is appointed for 3-year terms. Some people may not get excited about oversight, excuse me, over process, but it is the framework that, if built properly, ensures transparency and accountability, something that's so important to our public. And that builds greater public confidence in the new way of doing business with ICBC, knowing that those principles are being honored. As of May 1st, ICBC's enhanced care coverage will come into effect. It'll provide access to significantly improved care and recovery benefits, regardless of who is responsible for the crash. This is a significant shift in ICBC's culture to one that's focused on helping injured people get better. It's fair to say that we can be optimistic that there will be less demand for dispute resolution overall. But it is a shift. And it deserves an independent eye to make sure of the fairness of ICBC's processes, an eye that is entrenched in legislation rather than policy. Earlier this morning, listening to the member from Kamloops South Thompson speak of competence, I would remind this House of the ICBC dumpster fire our government inherited from that former minister and the now opposition. They raided the ICBC coffers to the tune of $1.2 billion, which caused drivers' premiums to increase. It's hard to forget that number, $1.2 billion. Let's talk about incompetence by the former BC Liberal government. The opposition also concealed the financial issues ICBC faced, using accounting tricks to hide hundreds of millions of dollars of losses. As the minister responsible at the time, the member from Kamloops South Thompson tried to give away ICBC's building worth $3 million and signed off on $1 million in bonuses to ICBC executives while the corporation was circling the drain. That all adds up to an egregious incompetence. The opposition opposes our plan for enhanced care. We've heard them in question period, and their comments raised that in this House and the record suggest that the people of BC would be poorly served by their path. Following their previous path would result in double-digit increases. And there's a lot of comparisons made to some of the other provinces saying that they have better systems. Well, some Alberta drivers recently saw their rates increase by nearly 30%, and the rate shock in Ontario brought by private insurers is through the roof. I heard that one Rampton family received a 62.5% hike. That's not affordable. With the changes instituted so far by our government, ICBC customers are getting rebates. And with our new enhanced care model, which starts May 1st, the people of BC will see a more affordable system that will be positively focused on care and recovery. The independent fairness officer is independent of ICBC, ensuring customers will have a place to turn to if they are concerned about the fairness of the process leading to a decision, an action, or a practice of ICBC. To be clear, it's issues like, was all the evidence considered? Did ICBC hear the customer's points that they raised? Did the customer get an explanation from ICB as to why the customer's points were not enough? Establishing a more independent fairness officer builds on our government's goal to make sure people get the care they need when they need it and for as long as they need it. Independently overseeing checks and safeguards for procedural fairness are an integral part of making sure our public insurer serves us well through what is often the darkest of times when we suffer injury in a motor vehicle accident. In conclusion, I want to express my wholehearted support for Bill 5 to create that independent fairness officer. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.